Hey guys, it's been a pretty crazy week to say the least in America, and it's around these weeks where it kind of feels I kind of look forward to going to the movies because of all the craziness that's going on, and uh, especially with all the stuff that's going on in Boston right now as we speak. For God's sake. Uh, I actually had a couple of friends that went to the Boston Marathon and everything else, but they were luckily okay. They were luckily okay, unharmed, everything else. So no worries. But like I said, I needed this one of those weeks where you just need to get away from uh, all the crazy realities of what's going on around in this world right now. Um, but anyway, usually at this time, usually when somebody wants to get away from it, they usually go, "Oh, I want to go see something uplifting like a comedy." No, I'm not. But no, I'm not. I'm the opposite. I go see something that's kind of a really dark film. Go figure. Um, and actually a really good dark film. What movie am I talking about? I that I just saw. I'm talking about The Place Beyond the Pines. It's a movie called The Place Beyond the Pines. It's a movie I've been getting a trailer in front of a few times. It looked really good. I have been really high on Ryan Gosling as of late, especially since Drive, and I think he's becoming a really good actor. So it's like this looks like a pretty good leading role for him, which I'll get into in a minute. Uh, yeah, it's like this looks like another step up. It looks like a step up for him, another step up from Drive. And Bradley Cooper is also a good actor, so I was like, it could be good. Um, and like the only problem was like going in like to the movie from the trailers, it didn't exactly reveal too much. Like I didn't know exactly. I was at the theater at one point when I was going to buy my ticket, and I was meant. Ran into a friend, and we were both going to see this movie, and the lady in front of us was like, well, "What's the movie about?" I'm like, because they didn't know what they were going to see, and they're like, "Well, what's the movie about?" I'm like, I'm not 100% sure. It's like I don't know exactly what the movie's about, but it looks pretty good. I said it looks pretty good. If it's getting good reviews, that was why I was going to go see it. If you don't know by now, uh, my goal is to try to go see about every big wide release film that gets a fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes. And it's getting a fresh rating, like 81% right now. It's getting really well received, and I was like, I almost went and saw Oblivion this week, but I didn't because I saw that my movie theater was finally putting this film out, and I didn't know how long this movie would be out in theaters. It's doing pretty well in its limited release so far, so they'll probably do it even bigger now. But anyways, so how was the movie? Honestly, this is one of the best films I've seen so far this year. Uh, it is really good. This movie is really, really, really good. Um, the one of the best things about this movie is that it's very well acted. Uh, Especially Ryan Gosling is really, really good. And honestly, that he is really, like I said, really, really good. And honestly, the other big thing about this movie is that and so is Bradley Cooper, and so is about everybody else. There's one performance I'll talk about that I didn't care too much for, but I'll get in that in a little bit. But another thing I really loved about this movie was that it is unpredictable. The trailer does not do it justice. This movie, it doesn't reveal hardly, it barely only show, the trailer only shows about maybe half the movie. This is a 2 hour 20-minute movie, and honestly, from the trailers, it looked like Ryan Gosling was gonna be the lead actor in this movie, and Bradley Cooper is gonna be a supporting role. And the weird part about this movie is that the first 40 minutes of this movie is all Ryan Gosling. It's just it's all about him and his exploits. If you don't know the plot, he's like a biker. He has this the bike show where he goes around in a metal circle. You know, this bikers that go around in a metal circle do all this stunts, stuff like that. It's hard to explain. I don't know what it's called. I don't know technically what it's called, but he does it for like a fair or like a traveling fair, and he goes back to this one town in New York where he meets up with Eva Mendes, who he had a one time fling with a year ago, and he finds out that she ended up having a kid, and that kid is his, and he didn't know about it, and so he tries to, he decides after he sees that he has a kid, that he actually has a kid, that he decides to quit the fair, the traveling fair, and try to live in New York so he could try to take care of her and their son. But at the same time, she also has a boyfriend now that is like basically a father figure to this kid since he's been gone. And he basically is having trouble finding ways to get money, and because of that, he starts robbing banks with a guy, with the help of a guy that owns an auto body shop, basically. And they basically rob banks, and he's using this money to try to make a better life for his son, and Eva Mendes. And like I said, the story, I was like, is he the main character? At one point, I was like, where is Bradley Cooper coming into this? Because like I was sitting there waiting. I'm like, when's Bradley Cooper coming into this? It's like, I was like, I mean, he's probably in the trailers, for God's sake. I knew at one point, eventually, because Bradley Cooper's character is a cop, I knew at one point that they were somehow intertwined because of his bank robbery, of him doing all these bank robberies. But the movie takes an interesting twist 40 minutes in to where Bradley Cooper all of a sudden becomes the main focus of the movie, and he, from probably for about 40 minutes till about an hour and a half into the movie, he's the main focus, where it shows him as a cop and dealing with all these corrupt cops that are inside his department. And it's a pretty good story, but I didn't find it as interesting as Ryan Gosling's character story, because Ryan Gosling is great in this. I thought he stole this movie. So like I said, I'm trying to not spoil a lot of the twist in this movie, but like I said, it goes after 40 minutes of the movie being all about Ryan Gosling, it goes from there to all about Bradley Cooper. And then after the Bradley Cooper story's kind of over an hour and a half into the movie, you're like, well, it's still got about an hour left of this movie. You're probably wondering, well, how the hell did they, continue the story? Well, they end up going even a different route by going 15 years later, showing the movie what's happening 15 years later, as Bradley Cooper's running for Attorney General, and his son is now all grown up, I think like 17, and basically the rest of the movie, the last hour of the movie, is focusing on his son and his relationship with this kid he meets at school. Bradley Cooper at this point has divorced his wife, and his wife moved her and their son, to Detroit while he stays in New York. Bradley Cooper's character stays in New York, and at one point, and Bradley Cooper's son now wants to kind of move back in with Bradley Cooper, and and Bradley Cooper's kind of hesitant about it because he's right now trying to become Attorney General, and he doesn't want any interference. He doesn't. It kind of will be a little bit hectic. He says it's going to be hectic, with his campaign and everything else, and he might not be focusing too much on his son. And so, from that point forward, after after a while, his son ends up moving in with him anyways, and from that point forward, it becomes a story about Bradley Cooper's son and a person he becomes friends with at high school, played by the kid from Chronicle, the kid that played the kid that gets who's an outcast and becomes like a super villain at the end of the movie of Chronicle. I forget what his name is. He's a really good actor. He really carries the last half of this movie. He was really, really good, and it becomes actually more of a focus on his character than Bradley Cooper's son's character, which I'm thankful for, because Bradley Cooper's son's character is the only thing I didn't like about this movie. I thought he was annoying. He kind of plays like a Jersey Shore kind of character, and it's really freaking annoying. And it comes off kind of obnoxious at the same time, but that is kind of overlooked. I overlooked that basically because they don't focus. The last hour does not focus on him solely. Thank God. They focus on the other kid, played by the kid from Chronicle, who is a really good actor, and I don't want to spoil, but there's a lot of twists. There's a twist about who this kid is. I don't want to say it because it's really, really good, and it goes into some really dark territory. And I mean, you can see the twist coming when that character arrives, of where this is going. But I did not know from the trailers that this was where it was going. That's what I loved about this movie. It's one of those movies that the less you know, the better it is. And I haven't spoiled much of the movie. I'm not spoiling a lot of the movie because I'm trying my hardest. It's kind of hard to talk about this movie without spoiling it, and I'm trying my hardest here. I'm hoping I didn't spoil a lot of it for you guys, because the routes this movie goes is really, it makes this movie interesting, and it kept me interested the whole time, like, because I had no clue where this was going. I thought it could have gone a really darker route at the end, but it didn't, which I'm fine with. So it didn't kill it. It didn't go to a really dark route. It could have. But this is a solid, really, really good movie. The acting is great. The story is great. It kept me interested. It's basically about it. The whole moral of this movie is like that. It's basically all about father-son relationships, and how sometimes the sins of the father come back to haunt their sons. So it's kind of one of those movies. And it's really interesting. And I kind of glad I heard that there was a lot. I heard from, like, I saw from the trailers that they had mentioned a few times that it was like a movie about father-son relationships, but I didn't entirely know that going. I mean, I didn't know what they meant by that until I saw the movie. So, I mean, it's this is like I said, this is a really solid flick. I really like this movie. I definitely recommend this. Highly recommend this. Um, this it definitely one of the best films of the year. Um, Even though this movie came out this early, maybe this will get some Oscar consideration. I don't know, because I don't know if it will because it's came out so early in the year. Um, Definitely some acting nominations should go out uh, to Ryan Gosling, definitely Bradley Cooper, and that the kid who played Bradley, or and the kid from Chronicle, definitely should be getting Oscar nominations. I thought they were all three of them are very good. And honestly, the weird part about this movie is that it doesn't have really a main character. If if you can catch my drift from my summary of this movie, is that it's an ensemble piece. Really, it's not just there's not one main character that it focuses on the whole movie, and it's kind of interesting. It was kind of, I mean, it kept me like I said, I did not know that going in. Like I said, I thought it would be focusing, like it would split its time between focusing on or like it would just kind of focus on one character. I thought Ryan Gosling, from the trailers, it honestly looked like Ryan Gosling was going to be the main character in this movie, and he wasn't. Only for about the first 40 minutes he was. Um, but yeah, this like I said, this is a really solid flick. Definitely go see this. Like I said, I don't know if I will be going to see Oblivion or not. Maybe at a later date. If it gets, it's like borderline right now on fresh and rotten. It's rotten right now, like 59%. If it gets to 60, it goes back to fresh. So if its final score gets up to fresh, I might go see it at a later date. I have like a cheap $1 movie theater. I can always go see it like a couple months and check it out. I haven't seen any reviews from other people whether it's good or not. I do want to see it. It looks kind of good. Next week, I don't know what the hell we got next week. Oh, we got Pain and Gain. What's that? I think that's it. I don't know what other movie. I think this is My Big Wedding. Or is that? Yeah, the Big Wedding. That stupid ensemble movie with Katherine Heigl, who I hate to death, and Robert De Niro. Why? I don't know what Robert De Niro is doing in this movie, and like who else? Susan Sarandon, for God's sake, and Diane Keaton. God bless it. A whole bunch of good people that are wasted in a really good movie. And then the also, like I said, Pain and Gain, which doesn't look very good either. It's from Michael Bay, and I really hate Michael Bay, but I might go see it just for kicks and giggles. If there's nothing really else out, or maybe I'll go see Oblivion next week. If I don't really want, because I really don't want to go see Pain and Gain. I don't think that's gonna be good. It's got my boy The Rock in it, but and it's got Mark Wahlberg in it. I still don't want to see it. Again, go see Place Beyond the Pines. Highly recommend it. Great acting, great story. Will keep you interested throughout the whole flick. It is 2.5 hours, and I honestly that the length, I didn't mind the length at all because I was invested in what was going on because I had no idea where this movie was going, and because of that, I wanted to see where this movie unfold more. Anyways, I'll be back. No, not next Friday. I took a shift at my job next Friday, so I'll be back next Saturday with something. It's the week before the summer of movies, or the summer movies come out, which Iron Man 3 is opening in 2 weeks, so that'll be a bigger release. But so basically, I don't know what I'm going to be seeing next week. Maybe Oblivion, maybe Pain and Gain, maybe Jurassic Park 3D. Who knows? But anyways, I'll be back next week, and I'll talk to you guys later.